Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Cooking Way Through Life with me, Chef Hollywood. Now, on today's episode, I want to talk about traveling. So, the reason why I want to talk about traveling is because it's one of those things I hit a lot. The topic I hit back a lot. So, if you've been listening to past episodes, I talk about traveling a lot too, but I think it's really good to talk about it every now and then because it changes. It changes for me. I actually work for a different company than the last time I worked. I talked about this last time. I travel differently now. Yeah, so everything changes. And so sometimes that's why I like to hit the same topic over and over again. Because as life changes, we're all changing. So we're cooking our way through that today. I'm also gonna go over my I guess I would say my tips or what I think you should do in terms of traveling from a culinary standpoint, especially for those of you that don't travel a lot. It's just like I feel like a couple things that help me or enhance my experience. I say that like enhance my experience of traveling. The culinary side of things really enhance that. So I'll go over some of my tips and tricks on doing that as well. And yeah, so let's jump right in. First, I want to talk about I mentioned that I have changed a lot on traveling. So still some things remain for me. I feel like traveling is a great experience, but it's not for everybody. And I don't say that like lightheartedly. Two things why it's not for everybody. First of all, traveling is a expensive hobby or thing that you like to do. Like I'm not saying like you can wheel your way into traveling. No, it does cost money. It does. I'm not dismissing that. I am very fortunate enough to at least 50% of my traveling, I would say actually probably like 80% of my traveling it's done because of the what I do. I'm a traveling culinary instructor, which means that I travel around the world and teach culinary classes on ships. So I mean, yeah, like 80% of my traveling is through work. And the other 20% is because I'm a contractor and I work with a company that I also can use the way of giving around the world to do my own personal traveling. Now, I usually travel, I won't lie, like probably 95% of the year I'm traveling. Like I'm somewhere. I'm not quote unquote at home in America. For the last 2 years, I've actually spent more time in New Zealand than I have in America. So like for me, traveling is like part of my lifestyle. But I also like to say like that's first. Money does matter when traveling. I'm not dismissing that because people are like, oh yeah, you just talk about traveling like I'm trying to pay my water bills. I'm like, no. I get that. And it's also an extra. Like it's not like something that you need to do. I feel like it's great. I feel like it has broadened my horizon so much. I'm from a very small town in Georgia. A lot of times like I'm very like I said, I'm very fortunate. I keep saying that, but also it does not it's not wasted on me that I get to travel and also I enjoy traveling. And that's the other side. It does take money, so everybody can't do it depending on where you are in your life, financially and what you got going on. But you also need to enjoy it, in my opinion. Even if you have the funds, even if you can travel, if you don't like to travel, don't travel. Because it's still something that is a choice. Like you don't need to be a traveler. Like not everybody enjoys traveling. And I think that's also something that's like been getting lost the last couple years. I get a lot of people that come to me and ask me about like what's my favorite place and I talk about it and then I say something they're like, "Oh, well, what about such and such?" I'm like, "No, that's a cool place too." I'm just like, "Is that where you want to go?" And they'll just be like, "No, but I see a lot of people go there." I'm like, "But is that where you want to go?" Like for me, first and foremost, back to the money part, I'm not spending my money going anywhere and doing anything that I don't want to do. That's just me. I work very hard for my money. I want to make sure that I'm spending it and doing things that I want to do. Now, when I'm working, wherever my contract sends me, I'm going to those places. I never dismiss them or like be like, oh, I don't want to go here. But it's like one of those things where it's like I have things on my bucket list. I have places I want to go, and then I go places for work, and it's like that's part of the job. So if you are working hard, you're saving, you want to get into traveling, I want you to go places that you actually want to go. Because the idea of you spending money to go somewhere because Instagram or TikTok tells you that's the place to go, at the end of the day, that's not worth it. I just feel like you should not do that, and that's just my personal opinion. I just feel like don't do that. I know it's this whole conversation, and I don't even. I kind of don't even want to bring it up because I know it's been like hashed out so many times. But there used to be this big conversation about like if you are buying Jordans and you don't have a passport, you know. Okay, I'm not even getting into that whole thing. But the whole thing is for me, it's a choice. What if you genuinely just love shoes and you genuinely don't like traveling? Don't travel, bro. I don't genuinely love cars. Like it'll be for me to be buying cars would just be for other people. I'm not even home enough to drive a car. Like I have a car, but like I don't drive it. Like somebody else drives it because I'm never there. Like so it's like one of those things. Like my conversation is always around what do you want? And now if you want something, if you are a person that's just like, I want to travel, but I just haven't done it yet, but then I'm spending money on X, Y, and Z, and then I'll be like, okay, now the conversation is, can you stop spending the money on X, Y, and Z to then move something over to your travel fund because you do want to travel? So that's like the conversation I try to keep it into. I'm not judging you for anything that you are doing to be like traveling is much better because I mean the reality is like not everybody likes to travel, and just like not everybody likes to do X, Y, and Z. So you have to figure out if you really like to travel. Is it something you really want to do? And then also financially, you do have to budget and you do have to plan accordingly. So that's the thing. Like, I'm not dismissing the fact that those things exist. And I also just want to acknowledge the fact that you do need to want to do it, in my opinion, because doing it for other people, I don't want to do nothing for anybody else. Like, no, it's not how don't do it. You work too hard, man. I don't care what you do. We all work too hard and go through way too much stuff to spend our time and money doing things that other people want us to do that you don't want to do. So I don't care what you do out there. Like you do it, spend your money and do the things you want to do for you each and every time. Now, that being said, I do love traveling, and I think that it has, like I said, broadened my horizons. I think that it has made me aware of the idea that we're so much more connected around the world than we think we are, and we're cut off sometimes by the idea that like that's so far away, that's so different. And the reality is that we're much more alike than we are we're much more alike than we like to admit. So I love traveling. I love getting into different cultures. I love understanding why this happened here. Like I love those kind of things. And it's something that really, really brings me joy, which is why I do it outside of work. Because I work with people who work on cruise ships who don't like traveling. And I know it's like, oh, but that's part of the job. It's just like, okay, well, you might work at KFC, but you might not like chicken like that. Like, like it's also a job. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, sometimes you do a job that's just like does not align what you do or what you like to do. Like I'm very, very, once again, I say fortunate, but I worked hard to get there. I have a career where I'm doing something that I love to do. Like as a culinary instructor, it's combining my my love of teaching, my love of cooking, my love of traveling all together. So I don't even look at it as a job. I look at it as like I'm very, very lucky to be able to do this. Not because I didn't work hard to get there, but just because this is a job. Like this is a job. So it really helps me travel more and do things which I just love to do. So for me, it's great. But for you, make sure that it's great because of the fact that you want to make sure that you really, really enjoy it. Now, that being said, let's get into a little bit of culinary. So on the culinary side of things, I mentioned like culture and other things with traveling. One of my tips for traveling, as far as like no matter where you're going, I don't care if you're going to, and this is also for I don't want to limit it to international travel. It's also domestic travel because America's huge. I haven't even been to all 50 states yet. So like I'm almost at 100 countries, but I'm still not at 50 states. Yeah. So America's huge. So even if you're traveling around America, even if you're going to a different town within your state, depending on where you are in the world, when you're going somewhere different from where you are, try the local cuisine. And I say that because we live in this time where like the internet has brought us closer together, but it also makes us forget things sometimes. Like you think about your childhood, think about where you grew up, and think about the nostalgia that you have with the food that you grew up with. So if you have this one spot where, like, if I came to your town right now where you are, where you grew up at, or where you just moved to, like if you transplanted somewhere, if I came where you are and you took me out, it would probably be like one or two restaurants coming to your mind right now, just like, I want him to try this because this represents where we are. That's what you want to do, in my opinion, once again, when you go other places. Because the same way that you know that that food really represents where you are now, that happens. So like if I'm going to South Korea, if I'm going to Louisiana, if I'm going to Sri Lanka, I want to eat the cuisine that's there because I know that that ties into the place, and it gives me even more of appreciation. It gives me a much more bigger tie back to the community. It gives me like a grounding point, or like a landing zone to be like, oh, okay, like this is what they eat here. Like, okay, I get it, you know. And it honestly, like, well, you can actually and actually you guys, Chef Patrick, we were talking about this. One of my friends, he's on this round of filming, and we're talking about like sometimes you can get more out of sharing food with somebody in a different country, in a different culture, in a different city, than having a conversation. Like it's just something that, like, it's I mean, not speaking, like you're just eating the food. It's like an unwritten or unspoken thing. It's just like of connection. So try the food. And I would say this too, because I know I get this all the time, especially with on cruise ships. You only need to be as adventurous as you want to be. Like, you don't have to jump out the deep end. There's certain things that I don't particularly like to eat. I would try them different places if I feel comfortable. I tried fermented shark in Iceland, but it's because of the fact that I know that fermented shark is one of the things that Iceland is known for. I went to a restaurant that I felt comfortable trying it at. I wouldn't try fermented shark, in my hometown in Georgia, because I'd be like, I don't know, like who did you learn this from? Would you like? So it's one of those things, like when you are somewhere where it comes from, it gives you a much more sense like, I'm a little bit more comfortable. But also go somewhere you feel comfortable in general. I always say the rule of thumb is that when you're at home too, there's places where you probably wouldn't feel comfortable eating, and you're from there. Use those same instincts when you're out of town, and yeah. So don't never lose that. I want to talk about street food a little bit coming up, because I feel like street food and fast food also kind of go hand in hand, and there's a big misconception, in my opinion, about street food around the world. So let's get back into that in just a second.
This episode is sponsored by ButcherBox.
Hey guys, a lot of people ask me, what do you cook when you're not on a cruise ship? And I have to tell you, this is one of my go-tos. I mean, look at the variety. The best thing about it is, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just letting you know there's a chef who travels all the time, so convenient, and the quality is amazing. Now, if you want to use my link, you don't get any money off per se, but it tells ButcherBox that you came from my kitchen, which does mean a lot to me. So go ahead and click the link, try out ButcherBox. Let me know what you think.
I'm an affiliate, so I do earn from purchases. Use my link.
Now, back to today's topic of traveling outside of the food side. On the other side of traveling, my biggest thing too is pick somewhere to go and make let your money take you as far as it can. So get more bang for your buck, right? On one of the episodes this season, I keep saying season, sorry guys. On one of the episodes, we're going to talk about budgeting. And with budgeting, one of the things that me and Alicia talk about on that episode is the idea that credit cards can work for you. And I always like to say that, because I've come from a finance background too. I got my finance degree, and it helps me as far as like my LLC and my business as a personal chef, all those things. Making your money work for you is always the best thing, in my opinion, because we all work hard for our money. Like I said, no matter what you do, you work hard for your money. I don't care. I don't care what your job is. If you budget out, let's say $1,000 for your trip. Now, $1,000 can actually get you a lot of things. It can go far, but it also can be done like that, right? Let's just take cruises, for instance, because I work on cruise ships. So cruising is one of those things where there's a big disparity between like a quote unquote good ship and a quote unquote bad ship. Now, my thing what I always tell people when they're going on cruise ships is the first thing that I look for, or I would recommend you look for, is where do you want to go? So pick your location. If you want to go to the Caribbean, if you want to go to Alaska, you want to go to the Maldives, you want to go to the Mediterranean, where do you want to go? Let's just pick the Caribbean because it's like a huge place that people like to go. Now, let's say you say, I want to go on a Caribbean cruise. What's more important to you, being on the ship or being in port? Because that divides the cruise companies pretty much down the middle. Because there are ships that you can go on for very cheap, but you're going to have zero to no ports. So then you actually care more about the ship. So your trip is more like, I just want to be away. I don't care about being on the ship, and so on and so forth. And then there's cruise lines where like you're going to be in port. Like you go on a 5-day cruise, you're in port 4 days. And you're in port from like 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's all about the ports. So it's like, okay, the ship is cool, but I want to go to this place. I've never been to St. Lucia. I really want to visit ABC Islands. Like, so you have specific places you want to go. When you divide these two in half, now you know where you want to go, Caribbean, and does ports or ship matter more? Now you have to decide, okay, I've decided I'm gonna go to the Caribbean. I can't do 7 days, so I want to do like a 4 to 5 day cruise, which also dwindles down your choices. The companies I work for now, we don't do less than 7 day cruises. A lot of companies actually 7 days are their minimum. So then you are in a smaller pool of ships where you can actually go on that ship because a lot of companies don't do less than 7 days. So unfortunately, now you need to figure out, okay, I can do 7 days. This is what I have. Now you need to decide, okay, between these, which one is the best? My opinion is always like narrow it down this way, because if you don't do that, the thing that we do is we'll say, I have $1,000 to spend. I just need to figure out which one's the cheapest. And then you just go online and you put in your budget and just like, they just pop out this shit. And it's like, okay, I'll take it. But you haven't looked at any other stuff. And it's like, of course you will pick the days because you know that your days you can have off, but like you haven't thought about like, am I gonna be on a ship? Am I gonna be off the ship? I say all that to say that it's your money. I want you to spend it on something that's worthwhile to you. So look at those ports you want to go to. Look at the time that you're going to be in port. Look at the ship itself. If you're going to spend more time on the ship, make sure the ship is somewhere you want to actually spend time at. You're also on the ship a lot. Think about the food selection. Are you vegetarian or are you pescatarian? Is that company going to be really adhering to those kind of things? What's the entertainment like? Are you like someone who wants to sleep all day, or do you want to be around the ship, playing games, going to see the show? So all these things play a factor. And I think when it comes to travel, because we're at the place where like we moved away from travel agents, we kind of just all just kind of pick and choose things, but we don't know, like everybody doesn't know all the ins and outs. So also use a friend. Like I'm that friend to my friends, not everybody, so I'm just saying to my friends, if they reach out to me and they give me their parameters, I have no problem looking up things like ships that they would like and things like that. You probably have friends like that. There are still travel agents out there. There are companies that help you. I have American Express. They have a concierge part that helps me do those kind of things if I need to, if I'm too busy. So use every tool that you have to make sure that your money that you worked hard for is really being spent the best way. That's my whole premise of all this. It's like I chose cruise ships because, of course, I work on cruise ships. But it's like you might not even like cruise ships. You might do a cabin trip, but there's other things that come along with a cabin trip. It's like how many people are going in the cabin. So now, do you need to drive, or are you going to fly to get there? Because where are you going on a cabin trip? Okay, we all can just drive up to Tennessee from Georgia. So groceries, alcohol, making sure that you have all these things in play, because the worst thing about vacation for me and the worst thing about budgeting for me is that I like to budget. I like to have that amount of money. I like to know exactly what's being spent, and that's it. I don't want to go over, because one, like that means it's going to come out of somewhere else. Like I don't have a rich uncle or like a trust fund I can dip in and out. So like my budget is very, very strict. We run a strict program over here with ourselves. And I think that that's something that we all need to start doing, because you're the most important person. Like you have to put the mask on yourself before you help everybody else. Airplane mode, man. Airplane mode. So I want everybody to start traveling more, only if you want to, once again. But I do want you to travel with intention. I want you to travel with information that is needed. I want you to travel and don't ever feel like you've been cheated out of your money. I want you to really enjoy your vacations and your travel time because if you already work a lot and you do so much stuff, and then all of a sudden now you are traveling and you're not, and oh God, I'm still going. Okay. If you already work a lot and you are traveling and you're treating this vacation like, like an actual vacation where you get to get away, why would you want to go somewhere just so you can feel, once again, like not good and like not relaxed and not ready to get back to work because we got to go back to work? So you just want to make sure that your time off is actually enjoyable. That's first and foremost. That's how I want to talk about. All right, on the other side of things with the culinary side, because I get this question a lot. And I remember my first time I took a birthday trip to Thailand years and years ago. And I spent like 3 weeks in Thailand. And I remember some of my friends and even some of my family just like, well, don't eat the street food, da, da, da. And I want to talk about this because I wanted you to try the food, but I brought this up a little while ago, a little bit, but you use discernment and use your common sense when you're traveling outside of when you're traveling outside of your country, when you're traveling outside of your city. You know, once again, what you should be eating and what you should not be eating. You know what a reputable restaurant looks like to you, what makes you feel comfortable. When it comes to street food, there is no exception. When I tell you, I actually felt more comfortable eating street food in Thailand than I did a lot of other places because one, you get to see everything. Now, I'm from Georgia. I got some friends from New York. But even in New York, I'm very nervous to eat from from the street food. Sometimes you can't see nothing. They're stored in these little alleys. The nickname for those things. I don't know what to say on the channel, but it's a nickname for the little street food vendors in New York. And I'm just like, as a New Yorker or somebody that comes from there, to go somewhere where you can actually see everything somebody's preparing, come on. Like, use your common sense. But I would say too, I think that street food is really great to try other places. And that's what I was saying for like my less adventurous people, because it's kind of like getting a snack, right? Or like not getting a full meal. It gives you an indication of what that country offers, what that city offers without like really fully committing. Because sometimes you might not be the most adventurous person. I have a friend who the first time we went to Louisiana, it actually was one of her first vacations. It was me, her, and my sister. And she was very much a chicken tender and french fries person. But she pushed herself a little bit and like she enjoyed it so much and she had such a great time. But the food was a big part of it because, like I said, like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where like we have to eat anyway. You are already eating. Every one of us eats every single day. And so when you're going to other places, it kind of like it becomes part of that. It becomes part of the trip already, but it's just that culture, man. Like you just if you're somewhere that offers something that is not familiar to you, you always think about it too. It's like, oh my God, I had the best gumbo of my life in Louisiana, and I haven't had it anywhere else because they don't really make it. And like, I'm so glad I had that gumbo in Louisiana. And so it's like those are the things that really also stick with you when you go home. And that goes back to me saying, like, spend your money wisely because I just want you to make sure that travel, if you do choose to do it, is a positive experience and not something that like you feel like you have to like later on it's just like oh God, I gotta take another trip. Or like I don't know, like it's just like some people feel very not into the traveling, and a lot of it comes from where they go and like the experiences that they choose to do when they're there. So just make sure your experience is as good as you want it to be at all times, of course. Now, as we're getting out of here today, I just want to say thank you guys so much. I appreciate the people that have transitioned over to YouTube. There's been a transition for me too because I didn't think that I would be doing this format for this podcast when I started this podcast in 2020. When a million other people started their podcast, I was just like, just gonna be in my bedroom on the microphone. Nobody's gonna ever see me. But I like it because of the fact that like YouTube is visual. So if you are listening to this on your podcast apps, then like I said, that won't change. But if you do ever want to see the visuals, head on over to YouTube and you can come and see me and sometimes me and my co-host doing the podcast. I'll see you next time.
Cooking your way.
Thank you for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something. You know what to do next. Please hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons below and have a great day.